Hello everyone, and welcome to the MATLAB and Simulink robotics arena. Today we're going to talk about pattern generation for walking robots. And with me today I've got Carlos Santacruz.
Hi Sebastian.
How's it going?
Good.
So Carlos is an application engineer for robotics here, and he's done some work in the past on walking robots, so we're going to have a pretty exciting agenda for you for this presentation. So in the previous videos on walking robots, we talked a little bit about, it was mostly about modeling the robot, to create a simulation model of it. Now we'll talk a bit more about the control aspect. So we'll start with some basics of humanoid motion, dig through the elements of a walking controller for humanoid robots, and then run through the trajectory planning for walking motion. So let's start with some of the basics.
So yeah, Sebastian, I think humanoid robots are very interesting because they're one of the most challenging problems in robotics, right? And basically, as you can see on the slide, it's a robot that has multiple degrees of freedom, right? It has a free-floating base, so it's a very difficult control problem, right? You cannot put any trajectory because most likely the robot is going to fall down, right? So here on the slide, right, you see that there are two important concepts in humanoid robotics. One is the center of mass of that robot, where we can concentrate all the mass of the system, and the other is the zero moment point, right? Without going into too much detail, right, you can see the zero moment point in some phases as the center of pressure, right? That point on your foot, right, where all the moments balance, right? So the center of pressure is happening there. Right? Something that is very interesting, right, and that's commonly done when you deal with this type of problems, right, is to use simpler models, but very powerful models, right? So there's a very famous model called the linear inverted pendulum model. So basically here, with some approximations, right, if you assume that the humanoid walks with constant height and the angular momentum around the center of mass is very small, you can approximate the whole robot, right, as a center of mass, right, as a center of pressure as well. So it's kind of like an inverted pendulum, but with constant height. Yeah. What is the nice thing about this model? So if we can check the next slide, right? If you do all the mathematics, right, and you can find this on different humanoid robot papers, you will see that you will find this equation. So this is the beauty, right? Yeah. If you try to solve the equation for a full humanoid, right, you will have like a bunch of states, right, number of degrees of freedom. But now with only like two equations and with very simple parameters that in this case is the center of mass acceleration on the left side, right? And on the other side, you have the CMP location relative to the COM. You can represent on a higher level the motion of the humanoid, right? Yeah. So I think really this equation is very powerful, and it also has a very nice characteristic, right? That is linear. Yeah. So we can apply linear control theory for a very complicated problem.
Sure. So overall what this lets you do is you can basically manipulate where this zero moment point exists so long as you do it within a region that's stable. And that's where your acceleration vector can't go in front or behind the foot, other your robot will fall down.
Exactly. Yeah. And let's say in the humanoid robotics community, we call this to generate a physically consistent trajectory, right? So you generate a center of mass trajectory and a center of pressure or ZMP trajectory that is physically consistent. That means that if you put this onto the robot is not going to tilt or fall down.
Right. And to make all of this happen, unfortunately we have to depart from this linear model. And that takes a couple of different pieces to implement, right? The first thing you need is step planning. You can't just move that center of pressure, the zero moment point, directly to where you want to go. You need to actually set certain footsteps parameters. So what is the trajectory for one of your feet to, raise up and move to another place, put down, and then you pick up the other foot.
That's correct. Yeah. So for example, if you have a joystick controller, or if you have a room and you want the robot to go from one place to the other, you do this type of discrete planning, right? Where the steps should go. Yeah.
So that gives you the positions of the feet, but that's not where you actuate the robot. So that's where you need to then get into the pattern generation, which includes generating, some kind of trajectory motion for the center of mass and the zero moment points. And also an important piece is inverse kinematics. So how do you translate the desired foot position to the position of your joints on your robot?
Correct. And I think that's the key concept here, that we're generating motion at this step, right? References, right? And then in next stages, we will do kind of like the control problem.
Exactly. And of course, once you have the joint motion, you just need that low-level control in general to keep everything stabilized. So that is actually, joint controllers to get the joint angles where you want them, but also stabilization if there's some disturbances or, things that you sense with your, like an inertial measurement unit or force and torque sensors. you may have to deviate from your original plan and just make sure you don't fall.
That's correct, right? And for example, most of these robots, they have 6-axis, 4 torque sensors on the ankles, right? So if you want to do, for example, push recovery, right, then you need to do those type of control strategies that you were mentioning to recover the stability of the robot. Right?
Great. All right. So we're going to take a first pass at this, which is a model that I tried putting together. So we're going to hop over to MATLAB. Okay. So this is a model that I have where, again, I've divided it into the walking robot simulation model that you might have seen in previous videos. So this is the SimScape multi-body model with all the contact forces. And then in here, we have our walking controller. Now, I basically just want to show you how this works first. If I run the simulation and I've sped it up a little bit, you see that this robot is now able to track this square trajectory. And maybe I'll speed it up a little bit more to make it look comical. So this is, you can see that basically by measuring the position of your robot, you can set the position of your next footsteps to follow along a path. The way that I've done this, if I go into the walking controller, is it contains really 3 main pieces. So we have the controller here, which is basically manipulating where that foot position is going to be relative to the center of mass. Mm-hmm. And this is just done, for now, I'm doing it with just PID. So I'm taking the desired position or acceleration that I want to have versus what we currently see, and then deciding whether to move the foot forward or backwards. And this gain actually is exactly the gain for that linear equation that we showed for the ZMP. Then we have the step planning logic, so how to take that desired position to an actual footstep location. So this is just a state flow chart that I put together that basically just hops between moving the left and the right foot and just setting up certain.
And that's also something very important, and where state flow is really convenient, right? Because in humanoid control, you need to know which, let's say, in which context stage you are. Right. So I think that's pretty clever to use state flow for this.
Yeah. And then finally, the inverse kinematics. So this gives you the desired position of each foot. Here, I've actually put together a MATLAB script that takes that desired position, and it sets the joint angles that then go into our simulation model. Mm-hmm. Another cool thing about MATLAB is that I can then post-process the data that I've logged from here. So I can actually plot the entire trajectory. I can do a little animation, and then when this animation is done, then it'll kind of zoom out and then show me the entire trajectory of that.
So here we're seeing the COM reference and the actual position, right? That's
right. And then the little squares are just showing where you're stepping.
Where you're stepping, yes. Yeah, that's a cool animation.
So once this is done, here we go. So we're somewhat following the square trajectory. And again, this looks very choppy because you keep overshooting and undershooting as you step with one foot and the other, and just kind of in the limit cycle following that trajectory. So this is one way to do things, but I think you've got something better to show us.
So I think Sebastian showed us like a very interesting approach, right, to generate a physically consistent trajectory. What I want to show our audience now is how researchers have been doing this for already quite a few years, right? And there are some standard techniques to generate physically consistent ZMP and COM trajectories, right? So we're going to use model predictive control, and what I want to highlight here is that, remember, we're using a model predictive controller, but we're using it for motion generation. The other thing I want to highlight is we have a very interesting video series, Introduction to Model Predictive Control, that definitely you should check it out if you want to become more familiar with this concept.
That'll be linked in the description. So.
Thank you. So let me go now to MATLAB. So here I have a live script, see, where we have the equations that we showed you before, right? The linear equations, one for the, let's say, frontal axis, the other one for the lateral axis of motion, right? And what we're going to try to do is take these equations and formulate them as a state space system, right? So first I'm going to define some parameters that in this case are pretty common for a full-size humanoid robot. Well, the gravity is the gravity. We have the height, the constant height where we want to walk, in this case 0.8 meters as sample time, right? And now we're going to use a very clever approach that was proposed by Shuji Kajita, right, a Japanese researcher, very clever, about how to take those equations, right, and then adding an extra state, that in this case we're using the COM, acceleration, as an extra state, right, that allows us to have this problem, right, where we have the ZMP as an output of the state space. So why is this very clever? Because now we can do like output tracking, right? And we can impose a CMP reference, and we can resolve the, let's say, the system to find a COM state, that means position, velocities, and accelerations, in order to track the CMP trajectory, right? So this is a very interesting approach. Here we're just defining this state space system in MATLAB, right, with the SS function. We define the names of the different variables, right? And then what we want to do is, because this is a discrete control problem, remember, for motion generation, we just discretize the system with our sample time. So we haven't done anything super strange here. And then we're going to use our model predictive control toolbox, right? So we define here that we are measuring the ZMP. That's the, let's say, the output that we have access, right? And then the other outputs, I don't care about them. And then I'm going to design that MPC controller. To design that MPC controller, I recommend to use the MPC Designer app. So let's check it out. So I'm going to open that MPC Designer app, and I'm going to create like a new session. From the live script, we already created the discrete state space model. And remember, that's the other very nice thing about this, that it's the same equation for frontal and for lateral motion. So let's take just the lateral motion, right? It reads automatically the sample time, the measured output, the unmeasured output. We're going to create that project, and oh, surprise, right now it's unstable, right? But here's where you have to tune the parameters of that MPC controller. And let's say if you check that video series that we're going to link later on, you will see that MPC is solving an optimization problem on each sample time. See? So here I'm going to define how far away in the future the controller needs to see in order to make the robot stable, right? So let's use, for example, 300. So that will be 300 times our sample time. And now you see that if you kind of predict more into the future, now at least it's unstable, right? Remember that this is the reference ZMP. Let's assume that this is where we do like one step. Yeah. This is the COM for that trajectory. So this is good, right? But the MPC has other very nice quality, and it has that capability to preview into the future, right? So I want to react before I see the reference. So here in the MPC Designer app, I can go into my scenario, and I can tell the MPC, in this case, to preview the reference, right? So if I specify that setting, you will see here a very nice characteristic, right? That now, this is the reference, right? But you see that the COM starts reacting before. And that's why MPC, right, is one type of preview controller, right? So at least now we have here a servo tracking system where we are specifying the ZMP, we are tracking it, and we are generating kind of like the lateral motion for the COM. Of course, now the next step would be, as in most of the MATLAB apps, to export the MATLAB code, right, out of this controller, right? So we export it. We have here the programmatic way of defining that controller. And now if I go back into my live script, we'll see that I have defined here that MPC, let's say, automatically generated MPC controller, right? That's what we have created here. We're going to run this. And now I brought that MPC controller automatically into Simulink. Actually, that app also has a way to automatically export the controller into Simulink, exactly. Right? So I have here the MPC structure. I have the model, the linear equations for each axis of motion, right? And then I just have the references, in this case, of the ZMP, and I have a buffer, which kind of like is with a way of programming the preview reference.
Yeah, because
right?
You need to pass in the
future
the reference
in the future, right? So if now we run this simulation, and we will see the physically consistent COM and ZMP references that we generated using an MPC controller, right? So now you will see the result of the animation. The green ball is the COM location, and also we are doing like some tracing. And then we will see also how the footsteps, right, that are being planned, that is actually our input to that MPC controller, right? What is nice is that you see that with, let's say, very few steps, we were able to generate a trajectory. And that blue trajectory makes sense, right? It's kind of like the trajectory that we would expect when we walk. That is type of like a sinusoidal, but it's not like a sinusoidal, right? It's just the output of solving that state space model using model predictive control theory.
Perfect. And then just the last thing we wanted to share here is that if we go into the actual signals, then you'll see that future preview behavior that you were showing. So for example, if I zoom in here to the reference position of the XCMP, you have that kind of sigmoid shape that you have. So you start moving before the reference.
Correct. And of course you can go into the parameters of the MPC and tune them if you want to have more kind of like close tracking, right, of the reference. This was our first approach, just with changing one parameter. And as Sebastian explained us, the next step would be to connect this now with inverse kinematics, right, to resolve for the angles and have the robot walking and maybe test it with your walking biped.
Exactly. Okay, so thanks for showing us that example. Hopefully we've given the viewers a couple of ideas of how to implement some modern humanoid robot control. So we just want to summarize with a few takeaways. You want to start?
Sure. So one of the biggest takeaways here is that the power of using simple models to control complicated dynamics, in this case of a humanoid robot. Right?
Yeah. And to just bring back to reality, the simple model helps in some part, but you still need to implement things like the step planners, the inverse kinematics, and low-level control. And just as we've done it in developing this example, you can certainly use MATLAB and Simulink to develop and test each individual component and then try to bring them together incrementally. Because if you try to do all of this at the same time, you might run into a lot of issues.
That's right.
Yeah.
The other takeaway out is that we show how to design a preview controller for a walking motion generator using model predictive control, right? And we show you the model predictive control MPC designer app and how you can very quickly generate that motion generation for the humanoid or biped robot.
Yeah. And going back to the real world, that this trajectory gives you a nice reference, but there might be a lot of external factors or just inconsistencies between the linear model and your actual robot that you need to handle. And it's a very interesting and complicated controls problem.
Exactly, and you will see the bigger the humanoid robot, the more difficult the problem becomes, right? So in this case, you will need, for example, force feedback control, stabilization, maybe some interesting topic for a future video, right?
Great. Well, thanks again, Carlos, for coming on board.
No, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. And as always, feel free to check out the resources if you want to learn more about this. You can email us, get in touch with us on Facebook, or check out some of our other resources here.